You're listening to Keep Sports News. Hey folks, welcome to KSN episode 80. Yeah, wow, 80 episodes. It's crazy. We're approaching 10 months since episode 1 of this podcast. So yeah, Friday edition, which means I'm going to preview the weekend here. All right. So I'm looking at my list here on the things that I want to talk about. Okay, so the National Hockey League season has begun. It began a couple nights ago on Tuesday, and yeah, the NHL season is already back, and I say that because it's only been the off season is only 3.5 months, but those 3.5 months have flown by because it was the summer season. The summer season always goes by fast. So, yeah. And the NBA season is starting, I think, in 2 weeks. So, yeah. It's always like that. The NHL and NBA seasons are always happening at the same time. Yeah. Sorry about my voice. If you're wondering why do I sound different, it's because the main reason is because I haven't been getting much sleep, unfortunately. I know I have that problem going on right now, so luckily, this won't be a very, very long episode. It's me previewing the weekend, so I'm hoping to get more sleep this weekend. So I'm going to try and go at a faster pace here. I forgot to mention this in the last episode, that Connor McDavid staying with the Edmonton Oilers for, I think, 2 more seasons. So that's great. Yeah. I think he joined the Oilers, 10 years ago? He was like 18 years old. I know, it's crazy. Only 18 at the time, and now he's in his late 20s. So he's staying with the Oilers, so that's good. Speaking of Connor Bedard on the Chicago Blackhawks, the youngster. He made his debut, 2 years ago, and he was only, 17 or 18? So now he's, 20? Isn't that crazy? There's some people, they're in the big leagues right after high school. Like, that is insane. Like, you're already at the top, you know? Another one, LeBron James, he didn't go to college. He went straight to the NBA. Like, wow. Another one, Coco Gauff in tennis. Back in 2019 at Wimbledon, she made her what do you call it? Her main draw debut. I think that's what it's called. But she was only 15. Yeah, she was only 15, which is, I'm like, what? And she took on Venus Williams. Yeah, Venus was an old player, but still, she beat Venus freaking Williams. And Venus is still playing. She was at the U.S. Open playing at the age of 45. It's amazing. So, Mike Trout, I think he was only 19 when he made his debut for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Yeah, so yeah, there's certain people or certain athletes like that. I know. It's unbelievable. Let me get a drink of water so hopefully I can talk better. All right. So McDavid is staying with the Oilers, and I'm glad he's staying with the Oilers. Man, they were shy of winning the Stanley Cup back-to-back seasons against the Florida Panthers. The Panthers are going for a three-peat. I think the last time that happened was, in the 80s or something like that? A long time ago. Three-peat. Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs, they went for the three-peat, So now it's the Florida Panthers. I'm hoping to see Connor McDavid win the Stanley Cup, so I hope he does it next season or the season after, and hopefully it's against a different team. Someone from TSN, his name is Craig Button. He picked the Vegas Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup, so that was his prediction. I don't have a Stanley Cup prediction, unlike the Super Bowl and the World Series. I don't have a Stanley Cup prediction because any team can win it, really. But it would be great if a Canadian team can win the Stanley Cup, So, yeah. All right. The main thing that has been going on this week is the MLB Postseason. So, I'm going to recap some of that over the past couple of days. Excuse me for a moment. The Division Series. Okay, let me turn you guys here. I know you guys don't really have to watch the video because it's just me talking. But a lot of podcasts are like that, anyways. So, yeah. All right. So the Division Series is currently happening right now. Move the microphone over here. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me better? I hope so, because I'm closer to the microphone. All right. There we go. Okay. So, the MLB postseason here, currently in the middle of their division series, but some of it has ended. Okay. So, back on Tuesday, Game 3 of the ALDS between the Toronto Blue Jays and the New York Yankees. I was mainly watching this game on Sportsnet, which is the Toronto Blue Jays broadcast. And that's cool. They're the only team that can have their own broadcast in the postseason because Canada does not have Fox and FS1. So that's why the Toronto Blue Jays can have their own postseason. So, and I have access to that just like TSN. So I was listening to Dan Schulman and Buck Martinez. They're great. And this was a higher scoring game. And I had a feeling that the Yankees would win one game, which would have to be Game 3 because they were down 2-0. And I'll tell you what, the first inning, top of the first inning, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit a home run, and it was already 2-0. And I was like, oh no, not this again. Yeah, he was hitting a home run. He hit a home run to make it 2-0. I'm like, oh no. Bottom of the first inning, the Yankees scored. And in the third inning, the Blue Jays scored more runs to make it 6-1. And I bet you after that the fans tuned out. Luckily, I didn't. They say it's never over until it's over. 6-1 in the bottom of in the third inning. Still a long ways to go, you know. If this was the 8th inning, okay, yeah, it's more unlikely a team will come back, but it's only the third inning. And then the Yankees scored 2 more runs to make it 6-3. And they scored even more runs. They basically scored 8 unanswered runs. How about Aaron Judge hitting that home run that hit the foul pole? That was his moment. He finally got a postseason moment. It's weird how they call it the foul pole. You'd think it would be called the fair pole, because if it's called a foul pole, then why does it count as a home run when it hits the pole? Shouldn't it be a foul pole when it hits the foul pole? But luckily, hitting the pole counts as a home run. And Jazz Chisholm, he also hit a home run to make it 7-6 in the 5th inning. And I'm like, wow, Yankees have finally woken up in this series, in this game at least. And they scored 2 more runs, and final score was 9-6. And here's what's interesting. The home plate umpire was Jordan Baker. And he is, why am I mentioning this umpire? Because he is the biggest umpire in the league. 6'7", the same height as Aaron Judge, who is the biggest player in the league. So that was kind of cool. And then the other ALDS Game 3 was between the Seattle Mariners at the Detroit Tigers. I didn't really follow this game too much because it was during the daytime, but the Mariners won 8-4. I don't really care much about this series, Mariners and Tigers. I don't really care which team comes out. I guess the Mariners, because they're the only team that has yet to go to the World Series. And then Wednesday, this was a great day for baseball because all 4 games took place on a Wednesday. All right. Go back to the Blue Jays and Yankees. So the Yankees, they had Cam Schlittler pitching. After his dominant performance last week against the Red Sox, most people, including myself, picked the Yankees to win Game 4, and it would force a Game 5 back in Toronto on Friday night. But that was not the case. The Blue Jays scored early in the first inning again to make it 1-0. Bottom of the third, McMahon hit a home run to right, 1-1. And here's where it gets tricky. Here's where it gets... this was basically the beginning of the end for the Yankees. The Blue Jays scored more runs. And there was a play, I forget what inning this was, but some player from the Blue Jays hit the ball and it went right to Chisholm Jr. Should have caught that ball and could have been a double play to end the inning, but nope. This was after that, I believe that was when Schlittler was taken out, and then the Yankees bullpen was a mess. Yankees don't have a good bullpen, and that's how the Blue Jays got more runs here. And that was it. Yankees were down 5-1 in the 8th inning. Now, this is a different situation because in Game 3, they were down 6-1 in the 3rd inning. Yeah, it's only the 3rd inning. You have 9 more innings to go to come back. In this situation, you only have 2 more innings to come back down 5-1. So it's harder to come back when it's later in the game. The Blue Jays held on to win 5-2, and they went on to beat the New York Yankees in the Bronx. I was hoping this would go to 5 games. And I really thought it would go 5 games. So congratulations to the Toronto Blue Jays. They advanced to the American League Championship Series for the first time in 9 years. I remember 2015 and 2016, they were in it back-to-back years. I remember the Blue Jays, they were in last place in their division last year. I mean, what a way to turn this team around in one season, It's amazing. So after this game, I was listening to not only the Blue Jays post-game show, I also wanted to listen to the Yankees post-game show, and as well as the press conferences for the Yankees. Yeah. See, here's the thing. When I look at this series, Blue Jays against Yankees, for the Blue Jays, okay, it's cool. They have their own TV broadcast. I can watch their broadcast and hear Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez. On the Yankee side, I have Sirius XM, and I really like their radio broadcast. I really like Dave Sims, So part of me kind of wish this was the ALCS, but it is what it is. So this means, now that the Blue Jays won, this means I can watch more Blue Jay postseason games on their network instead of watching it on Fox or FS1. So, yeah. In the other ALDS Game 4, Mariners at the Tigers. The Tigers won 9-3, but the Mariners, didn't they have they took a 3-0 lead in this game? They did. Until the 5th inning. The Tigers scored 9 unanswered runs. And by the way, this game had like a long rain delay. Yeah, this game had a long rain delay. I believe this game was supposed to start at 2 p.m. on FS1. How long was this rain delay? Was it like over 2 hours? And they had to move the game to FS2 and MLB Network because the Blue Jays Yankees game was coming on FS1. It's kind of unfortunate that they couldn't have either one of those series on local Fox. And I guess the reason why they couldn't have one of those series on local Fox is because I believe Fox does have their own television programs. So they had to show their television programs on that Wednesday night. But if this was TBS, no problem. The other game would be on TNT or True TV, like March Madness. This is why I wish ESPN can at least broadcast one of the division series, but because this happens a lot in college football where the game doesn't end in time before the next game. So if you wanted to watch the next game, you would have to go to a different network because the previous game on this network that the game should be on isn't over yet. That happens a lot. So, yeah. So this means the Mariners and Tigers will force a Game 5. And that will be on Friday night. Originally, that would have been in the afternoon. But because of the Yankees-Blue Jays series ended in 4 games, Tigers and Mariners will be on Friday night at 7 p.m. Central, which means it'll only be 5 p.m. Pacific time there. Now to the National League Division Series, Game 3 between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. I had a feeling the Cubs can win a game just like the Yankees did, and they did. They won 4-3, a much closer game. But here's what's interesting about this series is, what is it? The first 3 games, both teams would score runs in the first inning. Isn't this crazy? This time the Cubs would get more runs after the first inning. And by the way, the Cubs got all 4 runs in the first inning, and they went on to win the game. Man, you just never know. You just never know in baseball. And then the other National League Division Series, Philadelphia Phillies and the Los Angeles Dodgers. I thought this series would be over because the Dodgers, they won both of their games in Philly, which was pretty surprising. So, Philly's in a very tough situation where they have to come back, win games 3 and 4 on the road to force a game 5 back in Philly. And they went on to win this game 8-2. And I think they had Clayton Kershaw pitching. I guess this was his final. Was this Kershaw's final official start? Was he the starting pitcher? I forget. But was this his last game of his career? It might be. Because when he was younger, like in his prime, like 10 years ago or so, he was great, much better, obviously, but in the postseason, he choked. I know he's one of those athletes where you do really well in the regular season, but in the postseason, you suck, It's like cursed. So, both National League Division Series Game 4s are on Thursday, so yesterday. So here's what's interesting. So both games were on TBS. So on Wednesday, they had the Brewers-Cubs game first, late afternoon. I believe it was at 4 or 4:30 Central. The second game was Phillies and Dodgers. That game was at 8 p.m. Central, so 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And I found out that Thursday, they switched it. It's reversed. Phillies-Dodgers game was first, and Brewers-Cubs game was second. Same time, same game times, but it's the opposite. They reversed the games. So I thought to myself, why? Why was Phillies-Dodgers on first? But then I realized that the Philadelphia Eagles were playing on Thursday Night Football. So they didn't want to have both Phillies and Eagles play at the exact same time, which is understandable. Philadelphia is a huge city. Philadelphia is a sports town. They got crazy fans. But here's my other question. If they want to avoid that Thursday Night Football game entirely, which would have began, 7:15 Central, then why wasn't this game much earlier in the day? Shouldn't this game be at like 3 p.m. Central? So it would have been at 1 p.m. Central in LA. Hey, game 2 of last year's National League Championship Series was in Dodger Stadium, and the game time was at 1 p.m. Pacific. I'm just saying, but that was on FS1. This game was low scoring. It was a pitcher's duel, and both teams scored in the 7th inning. Let's see here. It was a battle. The Phillies were not giving up. I really thought the Phillies would give up, but they didn't. They fought back. This game went into extra innings, and it went to 11 innings where the Los Angeles Dodgers won. They got the walk-off, right? Wow. They had a huge inning. I saw that the bases were loaded in the bottom of the 11th inning. That was huge. The LA Dodgers, they went on to win. They beat the Phillies in this huge series in 4 games, and they are once again in the National League Championship Series. And that will begin on Monday night, I believe. Brewers and Cubs. This was also surprising. The Cubs shut out the Brewers 6-0. The Brewers only got 3 hits. Wow. Which means this is going to 5 games. Back in Milwaukee on Saturday night. So tonight is Game 5 of the American League Division Series between the Tigers and the Mariners. Again, I don't really care which team comes out. I guess I'll go with the Mariners because they're the home team. And then that's on Fox. That's not on FS1. That is on local Fox. And then Saturday night, Game 5 between the Cubs and the Brewers. I'll tell you what, if the Brewers don't win this game, that is a big choke. After dominating the first 2 games, you lose the next 3. You lose Game 5 at home. I think they have to win this game. I'm going to pick the Brewers to win, but if they don't win this game, that is another choking ending. So, the Toronto Blue Jays are waiting on Sunday night. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series will be in Toronto Sunday night on Fox. They'll be taking on either the Mariners or the Tigers and the LA Dodgers. They'll be taking on the winner between the Cubs and the Brewers. If the Cubs beat the Brewers, that means Game 1 will be in Los Angeles, Dodger Stadium. But if the Brewers beat the Cubs, they get to stay in Milwaukee. And that means the Dodgers will have to fly all the way to Milwaukee for Game 1 of the NLCS on Monday night. Now here's the thing. Canadians, they'll root for the Blue Jays even if they're not living in Toronto. So like what if you live in Vancouver? Vancouver is close to Seattle, right? You may be a Seattle Mariners fan, but I think you really want to see the Blue Jays win the American League Championship Series because you're a Canadian, they're the only Canadian team. That's interesting. I heard someone's question, like, no matter who comes out on top between Tigers and Mariners, there's going to be quite a bit of Blue Jay fans when the ALCS games 3, 4, and 5 go to in Seattle, and especially in Detroit, because Detroit is close to Toronto. They're on the Canadian border. So that's interesting. That is very, very interesting. The Blue Jays have a big advantage to win this ALCS. They're resting. They're hosting games 1 and game 2 and games 6 and 7 if necessary. That is huge. I think I'm favoring the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays might win the American League pennant. Even though I do have the Seattle Mariners winning the ALCS, going to the World Series. My original World Series prediction is officially dead because the Phillies are eliminated. But my second World Series prediction is still alive, and that is Mariners and Dodgers. Imagine that, a West Coast Pacific Time World Series. And you know what's kind of funny is both the Mariners and the Dodgers, they met on the last weekend of the regular season. But that series didn't really mean anything because both teams already won their division. That happened in 2022 between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Houston Astros. They met in the last week of the regular season, although the last day of the regular season was not on a Sunday in 2022. It was actually on a Wednesday. Yeah, the season began a little bit later. But they met again 4 weeks later or so in the World Series. So I have Mariners and Brewers winning. If those teams don't win, that'll be a big shame. Who knows? That could be the World Series, Mariners and Brewers, two teams that have never won it before. It's hard to count out the Dodgers. It really is. The Dodgers, they might win the World Series back to back. So we shall see. We shall see. It is exciting. And I have not listened to any of the podcasts that talked about the Yankees' loss. I have not talked about that yet. I have not. Or excuse me, I have not listened to those yet. But I will today. Michael K. Show, Stephen A. Smith, Mike Francesa, Tony Kornheiser. I don't know if he's a Yankee fan or not. I know Michael Wilbon is a Chicago Cubs fan. So yeah. So the division series is wrapping up. And now to the CFL. Week 19. All right. By the way, before I get to that, Wednesday night was a big night for the city of Toronto because the Blue Jays, they advance to the ALCS, and the Maple Leafs also won. And you know what's cool? After the Maple Leafs game ended, they were showing the rest of the Blue Jays Yankees game on the Jumbotron in the Toronto's arena. And I thought that was really cool because this is a big event happening. Yeah. I kind of wish the NHL season did not begin this week. I kind of wish it begins next week or the week after. But instead, it's the NBA, you know. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. I'll say it now. After the Yankees-Blue Jays game ended on Sportsnet, they were showing the rest of the Calgary Flames Edmonton Oilers game. So I was watching the rest of that. Might as well before I watch the big highlight shows. And my father was also watching this game, and he said that Edmonton was winning 3-0. Is that correct? Were they winning 3-0? And then Calgary came back? Let me see here. Because I think that is correct. I want to check. But a team was winning 3-0, and the other team came back and tied the game. And the game went into overtime. Yep, Edmonton was winning 3-0 in the second period. Yeah, can you believe that? So, overtime in the regular season, it's only 5 minutes, just like the NBA. And they didn't do an intermission. They would only do overtime intermissions in the playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah. And no team scored, so it went into a shootout. Shootout is normally 3 rounds, but if it's still tied after 3 rounds, it's sudden death. So it went 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds. 5 more rounds. Neither team could not score. And Calgary won. What a comeback. That is a huge win. That's got to be the longest shootout this season. It's not in history, but it is one of the longest shootouts I've ever seen, that's for sure. I'm not a big fan of the shootout, which, I guess, see, the shootout, it's kind of like the MLB's extra inning rule where a runner starts on second base in the regular season. But in the postseason, they don't have that. Just like the shootout, they don't have that in the playoffs. NFL has ties in the regular season. You can't have ties in playoffs. Some games, there was actually some NFL games that went into double overtime, which is crazy because they have to play another 15-minute quarter. Some NHL playoff games go into 3 overtimes, which is even more crazy because it's 20-minute periods. They do all that skating. I know they're exhausted. Neither team could score. It's crazy. So yeah. All right, now to the CFL here. Let me get another drink here. Oh, excuse me. It is week 19, and it's also Thanksgiving weekend in Canada. That's right. They have a different Thanksgiving in Canada than here in the United States. I can't believe it's already week 19. So we got one game tonight between the eliminated defending Grey Cup champions Toronto Argonauts at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I'm gonna go with the Roughriders to win this game. I don't think I'm gonna be watching this game though, because this game is not that important at this point. When you get closer to the end of the regular season, it's all about the postseason now. It's all about the playoffs. Roughriders, most likely they're going to be hosting their home playoff game. Same with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Saturday, we have a doubleheader. Calgary Stampeders at the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That is a big matchup. It is a must-win for the Stampeders. But I don't think they're going to win. I think the Hamilton Tiger Cats are going to win. I don't know what's been going on with the Stamps lately. Then later that evening, Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Edmonton Elks. I think Edmonton's eliminated. I'll go with the Blue Bombers because they are a better team. It's a must-win for both the Stamps and the Bombers. The team that's not playing is the BC Lions. So if you're the Lions, they hope both the Stamps and the Bombers lose, because the Lions are in second place with 9-7. Stamps and Bombers are tied at 8-7. And then the last game is on a Monday. Yeah, Monday, October the 13th. There's a game. Why? Because Monday is Thanksgiving in Canada. That's right. Their Thanksgiving's on a Monday. In the United States, it's on a Thursday in November. And they got the Ottawa Redblacks, the eliminated Ottawa Redblacks, taking on the Montreal Alouettes. I think the Alouettes, they did play last year's Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure they did, but it was raining. And I was actually at home. I was lucky I didn't have to go to work, but I am going to miss this game, unfortunately, but that's okay. The Red Blacks are eliminated. Alouettes, they already clinched the playoffs, so I'll watch the highlights, that's for sure. But the way the Alouettes are playing, I have to pick them to win on Thanksgiving, Canada. So yeah, last 3 weeks of the regular season. Playoffs are coming closer. College football now, week 7. We're already in week 7, which means the season is getting more interesting because now it's a bunch of conference games. The main conference I watch is the SEC. because I live in the Southeast. So let's see here. Saturday here. So the team that I usually root for is LSU, even though I'm not a big LSU fan, but I wish them well. They're here at home, taking on South Carolina in prime time on the SEC network. LSU had a bye last week. I don't know if South Carolina did, but I gotta go with LSU. Gotta go with LSU. Hoping their offense improves in this game, and I think they're going to win. The big noon kickoff on Fox. Ohio State at Illinois. I mean, it's hard to count out the number one team in the country. The total, let's see here. South Carolina LSU, the total, 44.5. I'm going to say under on that one. Ohio State, Illinois, total, 50.5. I'm going to say under as well. Another, 11 a.m. on ABC. Number 8, Alabama at number 14, Missouri. This is interesting. Because Bama did not have to play Missouri. They didn't play Missouri last. No, I think they did. I think they did play Missouri last year, and I think they shut them out. But that was in Tuscaloosa. This is in Missouri at 11 a.m. Okay. Bama's the favorite. They're number 8. Missouri's still undefeated. Will their undefeated streak come to an end? The total, 51.5. I'm also going to say under on this one. But this might be closer than what the experts think, as what Lee Corso would say. Florida State's playing at 11 a.m. against Pitt. Both 3-2 teams. That's on ESPN. This is a weird one. Washington State is playing at Ole Miss. Why? On week 7? Ole Miss is going to clobber Washington State. All right. Number 7, Indiana. At number 3, Oregon. 2:30 p.m. on CBS. That means Gary Danielson's going to be there. Man, lately, Gary, he's been calling these West Coast games. Last week, UCLA. The week before, I believe he was at Washington. Now he's in Oregon. West Coast in his final season. This is where game day is going to be at, which is crazy. They have to wake up super early. Game day comes down at 8 a.m. Central, which means it'll come on at 6 a.m. Pacific time, and it's still dark outside. I know, right? Isn't that crazy? Oregon might clobbered Indiana. They are that damn good. 53.5. They put a lot of points on the board, so I'll take the over on that one. The big Red River rivalry between number 6 Oklahoma, 5-0, and unranked Texas, 3-2. 2:30 p.m. on ABC. Usually, game day would be there, but nope. By the way, will SEC Nation be there? No, they're actually going to the Alabama-Missouri game. Yeah. And normally the Red River rivalry is at 11 a.m., but I guess now it's at 2:30 p.m.? They should have the Bama-Missouri game at 2:30 and have the Red River rivalry at 11 a.m. I wonder what announcers are going to call this game. I think it's going to be Joe Tessitore and Jesse Palm. Or no. Or is it... Let me see. Let me get to the primetime ABC game. 44.5. I'll take the over on that one. That's usually a high-scoring game, and it's usually a close game. A lot of times, recent years, every time I usually watch this game every year, and a lot of times Oklahoma wins, so they might win again. Let's see, the ABC game tonight is number 10 Georgia at unranked Auburn. That's always a big matchup. Will Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit be there? Now game day's in Oregon. Game day's in Oregon, and Kirk is at game day. Kirk, oh my gosh, this guy, he travels a lot. He's also an analyst on Thursday Night Football, which was in New York? So he has to fly across the country to Oregon. And I guess he is going to be at the Georgia-Auburn game with Chris Fowler. Or maybe not. I actually don't know. Out of these 3 ABC games, the biggest one is Bama and Missouri because they're both ranked. But there's no way Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit are going to call that game because it's at 11 a.m. So I guess Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy will call that game. And I guess Joe Tessitore and Jesse Palmer will call the Red River Rivalry. And I guess Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit will call the Georgia-Auburn game. Speaking of Chris Fowler, he has to call another Monday night game this upcoming Monday. I'll get to that a little bit later. All right, back to the games here. Let's see here. After Sam Pittman got fired at Arkansas had a bye last week. They're in action, but it's at Tennessee. How will Arkansas's offense and defense play in this game? My father will watch this game because he went to college there. And you know what's funny? My uncle went to college at Tennessee. It's father versus uncle. Wonderful. Total 67.5. That is a lot. I don't know about that. I'll take under. Prime time on ESPN. Florida at number 5. Undefeated Texas A&M. A&M's probably going to destroy Florida. That is a tough environment. Kyle Field, home to the 12th man. Prime time on Fox. Kansas at number 9, Texas Tech. I heard that Texas Tech is like the best Big 12 team. They might clobber Kansas. We might have some big blowouts. 59.5. I'll take over on that one. Georgia at Auburn. That could be a high-scoring game. 46.5. I don't think it will be that high-scoring. I'll take under on that one. It's at Auburn. Sometimes Auburn can surprise us. Big Ten football on NBC. Number 15 Michigan they're 4-1 at unranked USC, which they're also 4-1. That's on NBC. Total 56.5. This might be a high-scoring game, and I guess I'll take the over on that one. All right. The game that I'll try to watch, I mainly watch the 3 ABC games anyway, so I'm looking forward to the Bama-Missouri game, and I usually watch the Red River Rivalry every year, so I guess I'll watch that as well. I might watch all 3 ABC games. All right. Now to the National Football League. So, before I get to my Week 6 NFL predictions, so the Thursday night game was between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. I did not watch that game. I did not care about that game whatsoever. But I wonder how many people watched that game. Obviously, a lot of people did in the East Coast, the Northeast. But what about people that were living in a different region? I guess this game got more ratings than the two postseason games. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to compete with the NFL nowadays. So, yeah, this game, I just saw the highlights on TSN, and wow. What on earth? What on earth? The New York Giants, not only they beat the Eagles, they beat them by 17 points. 34-17. Where the heck was this Giants team against the Aints? Yeah, you know? What happened to the Eagles? I'll tell you what happened. They must have found out that the Phillies lost earlier in the evening. Yeah. The Phillies got eliminated. The Eagles got crushed by their rivals. The NHL season has begun. Did the Philadelphia Flyers, were they playing? Did they lose? Let's check right now. Because a bunch of teams were in action. They were. And they lost. Wow. All three Philly sports teams lost. Wow. They were all on the visiting team. Phillies lost. Flyers lost. Eagles lost. Wow. Wow. Well, it wasn't a good Sunday. This past Sunday was not a good day for New York sports. Thursday night, last night, was not a good night for Philly sports. Man, that's tough. That's tough. I'll tell you, that's tough, man. I wonder if, guess I'll have to hear the Friday podcasts of them talking about that. Well, we got the 76ers coming up. Oh my gosh. Really? Really? All right. Well, yeah. Sometimes that happens. The shocking one was obviously the Eagles getting blown out by the Giants. What? Wow. Well, well, well. So, New York Yankees eliminated, Philadelphia Phillies eliminated. I guess the next big team is the LA Dodgers. Another big city. We'll see how they go. We'll see how they go. All right, to the predictions here. Week 6. Oh, we got another game in Europe, in London. Denver Broncos 3-2 at the New York Jets 0-5. What if the Jets win? They get their first win in London. Like, how would Jets fans feel? I mean, yeah, they'll be very happy, but like, wow, our first win's in London. I hope they win, but they might not. So I'll go with the Denver Broncos. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm making my predictions for the total over and under in college, but not picking the teams, which team will win. NFL, I'm just picking which teams to win. All right. Okay, I'm not going to do all the games, though. Just the ones that are interesting to me. There's a chance I might put on NFL Red Zone. The LA Chargers, they lost their last 2 games. They're in Miami, 1-4 Dolphins. The New England Patriots, after a big win, ending the Buffalo Bills' undefeated streak, undefeated season. They are now going to New Orleans, taking on the 1-4 Aints. Why are the Aints on CBS again? What the heck? This is like the 3rd week in a row where the Aints are on CBS. Yeah, I call them Aints because they're not a good team. See, this is how it was like over 10 years ago. All the NFC games were, they would be on Fox. All the AFC games would be on CBS. If the visiting team is an NFC team that is playing on the road against the AFC team, that game would be on Fox. If a visiting AFC team is playing against an NFC team on the road, that game would be on CBS. And I like it like that. But now it's not like that anymore. I wish it's still like that. That just kind of makes it mean something. Like, okay, Fox is Team NFC, CBS is Team AFC. At this point, it might as well be the opposite. Have all the AFC games on Fox. Have all the NFC games on CBS. Maybe it's time for a complete switcheroo. Let's have Jim Nantz and Tony Romo call more NFC games. Let's have Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady call more AFC games. Hey, look at it like this. Tony Romo played for the Cowboys. That's an NFC team. Most of his games were NFC games. Tom Brady, most of his career, he played for the New England Patriots. The Patriots are an AFC team, so he played most AFC teams. It would make more sense if you look at it that way. I'm down for that. I hope they do it like that, but no. Anyways, Patriots, they might clobber the Saints, I think. That just shows you the Giants are terrible. Now this is a weird one. It's weird now because listen, the Baltimore Ravens, they're 1-4, hosting the LA Rams. There's this podcast that I listen to. It's a football podcast, NFL podcast. I'd say it's the best NFL podcast. It's called Let's Go with Jim Gray, Matthew Stafford, Max Crosby, and Peter King. Yeah, Matthew Stafford, an active NFL quarterback, is on a podcast every Monday nights. Isn't that crazy? So that's a great podcast. I really like Matthew Stafford. He's a cool guy. Great friends with Clayton Kershaw. Yep, I'll get to Clayton Kershaw in a little bit later. What the heck happened to the Ravens? If the Ravens lose this game, they're going to be 1-5, which means their season might be over. I think the LA Rams are one of the best teams in the league, even though they're 3-2. Who did they lose to? They lost to I know they lost to the 49ers in LA. And their other loss was to what? What was their... The Eagles? Yeah. They could have won both of those games. The Rams could be undefeated. I like Matthew Stafford, but he's on a team that I don't like. I don't like the Rams. The Rams are one of my least favorite teams, mainly because after they beat the Saints, yeah, I didn't say Aints because back then, 2019 NFC Championship, well, technically 2018 NFC Championship game, but the game took place in 2019. If y'all remember that game, back when the Saints were the Saints, okay? They could have won that game. They should have won that game. They got screwed out of the Super Bowl against the Rams. So after that, man, I'm like, this is when I stopped caring about the league for the next couple of years. Yeah, the Rams are my least favorite team, all because they beat the Saints to go to the Super Bowl. So when the Rams were in that Super Bowl a couple years ago against the Cincinnati Bengals, I was rooting for the Bengals, obviously. Joe Burrow, his second season, he goes to the Super Bowl? And he played for LSU. I had to root for the Bengals, but I was not surprised that the Rams won that Super Bowl because the game was in LA. All right. Moving on. I got the Rams to win. Arizona Cardinals at the Indianapolis Colts. The Cardinals should be 3-2. They should have beat the Titans. I'm sorry. I still cannot believe that happened. Colts are a great team. They might clobber the Cardinals. Another interesting game. Seattle Seahawks at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are 4-1. Can they be 5-1? I hope the Jags do well because that's a team that had a lot of bad seasons. And I like Trevor Lawrence. I think the Jags will win. Huh. The 2-2-1 Dallas Cowboys against the 2-3 Carolina Panthers. Who cares about that game? Only those two teams. The only fans of those two teams care about that game. Something tells me that the Cowboys are going to lose this game. I guess I'll pick the Panthers to win. Wow, no one cares about this game. 1-4 Tennessee Titans against the 1-4 Raiders. The Titans should be 0-5. If the Raiders lose this game, that would be embarrassing. A home loss to another team with the same record as you. You better, Raiders, y'all better win that game. I'm wearing black. I'm wearing black because of y'all. That team. And they got some cool, crazy looking fans because they dress up. Every night, every Raiders game is Halloween day for the big time Raider fans. Oh, this is the big game. 4-1 San Francisco 49ers against the 4-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. This could go either way. This could go either way. Tampa had a lot of close wins. Are they that good? Are they what their record says they are? I don't know. Maybe the 49ers will pull off another big win. It's at Tampa. They do have that home field advantage, so I'll go with Tampa. I think they'll win by a field goal. They might win at the very end again. They might win on a last-second field goal. All right. There's two 325 games on CBS. That's kind of weird. The other one is Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals 2-3 against the Green Bay Packers 2-1-1. Packers are going to win that game. Bengals are trash without Joe Burrow. So I assume Jim Nantz and Tony Romo are going to be at the 49ers Buccaneers game. Okay. The Sunday night game. Oh boy, that's a big one. This is a big Sunday night game. The 4-1 Detroit Tigers taking on the 2-3 Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. The Chiefs have another primetime game. Something tells me that the Chiefs are not going to lose back-to-back games, so I'm going to pick them to win. Now, here's what's interesting. I almost forgot to bring this up. This is the game on at the exact same time as Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. What if the Detroit Tigers are in the ALCS? We're going to have both the Tigers and the Lions in action on Sunday night at the exact same time. Well, that's unfortunate for the MLB because the NFL, they make their schedule in advance, like 3.5 months in advance. And yes, they can flex out games, but they don't flex out games this early, I don't think. I don't think they flex out games, Sunday night games, until November. But wow, what a big night for Detroit. If the Tigers meet the Blue Jays in Game 1 of the ALCS on Sunday night, you also got the Lions in action. Wow. Well, clearly the Sunday night game will get more ratings because it's the Chiefs taking on a good Lions team. I don't know. Maybe I'll put both games on at the same time. I don't know. Maybe not. But the baseball game is more important because it's the playoffs, postseason. But yeah, we might have Tigers and Lions in action at the same time. But they're both the visiting team. What if they were both the home teams? Because both stadiums, Ford Field and Comerica Park, if that's still their names of the stadiums, because sometimes stadiums or venues, they'll change their name and I won't notice until I look that up. But those two stadiums are together, next to each other, but they're both the visiting teams. But can you imagine? Has that ever happened before? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's ever happened before. Where a playoff baseball team is playing at night and their football team is also playing at night in the same city, both home teams. I don't remember if that's ever happened before. I want to say it's happened in Kansas City, I want to say, because both Arrowhead Stadium and Kauffman Stadium are next to each other with that giant parking lot, so I don't know. All right, then. And then, it's a doubleheader, which means no Peyton and Eli. We got another dos. Go for dos. Chris Fowler's in that commercial. Go for dos. We got a dos game. Yep. We have another doubleheader. Really? Really? And the Manning cast, they're not going to be back for another couple of weeks. But when they'll be back next time, they'll be back like every week in November. It's weird how the schedule works. I don't know why they're doing this again, but the first one, 6:15 p.m. on ESPN. Buffalo Bills at the Atlanta Falcons. Buffalo's got to win this game. They're better than the Falcons. Although, I thought they would beat the Patriots. They're going to bounce back. I got the Buffalo Bills winning that game. Chris Fowler's going to be at that game. Oh, you know what? That means the game's in Atlanta. That means Chris is going to be at the Georgia-Auburn game because that's close. That's the next state to Georgia. So he's got to be at that game. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, they have to be at that ABC primetime game between Georgia and Auburn. So that way Chris doesn't have to travel super far away in 2 days. He gets to travel to the next state. So yeah, that makes sense. Geographically wise. Then the ABC game, Chicago Bears at the Washington Commanders. I'm going to go with the Commanders. Got Jaden Daniels in action. And that's it. All right. Monday we'll have both championship series, ALCS Game 2, NLCS Game 1. The NLCS Game 1 will be the primetime game because that's how that works. That happened last year. So TBS will get that primetime game. Either Cubs-Dodgers or Brewers-Dodgers. So there you go. Those are my predictions of the upcoming weekend for football. I'm almost done here. I got a few more news I want to share here. The crazy story is Mark Sanchez. Like, this is insane. Isn't this insane, man? Mark freaking Sanchez. He basically just threw his whole career away, man, after what just happened. He's well known for the butt fumble incident. Well, guess what? He just fumbled his whole career. He fumbled his whole broadcasting career. He's no longer going to be part of Fox. Oh my gosh. You know, I actually right before I started this episode, I was listening. I just searched up Mark Sanchez interview, and I found the one that he was on the Dan Patrick Show back in January, and he was kind of a funny guy, a nice guy, nice funny guy, and then like this happened this past Saturday morning. What the heck? And I know not many people are talking about it because it's very disturbing news. I understand that. Wow. I mean, he's the one that got stabbed, but he's the one that assaulted the guy. Oh my gosh. I don't know what to say. Let me see. Is there any updates? Because all I know is that he went to the hospital because he got stabbed. And then he later got felony charges of this incident. He ain't going to be... I don't think he's going to call another game on Fox. What the actual hell, man? So I don't even know what to say. This is some crazy news. Listen, we're going to get news from time to time that is so unexpected. This is one of them. This was so unexpected. There might be something like this might happen again where a well-known name does something crazy like this. Ay, ay, ay. Yep, he just butt fumbled his whole broadcasting career. Ugh. I think he's still employed by Fox, but ay, ay, ay. All right. The WNBA Finals. The Vegas Aces are up 3-0. They could have lost Game 3, but they made, oh my gosh, with like a tenth of a second left, they took the lead and they won Game 3. Might as well be a sweep. The first best-of-7 NBA Finals will also be the first 4-game sweep. I'm all in. So when's the next game? Is it tonight? Is the next game tonight? It has to be because they can't have it on Saturday because, the network's on ESPN or ABC. College football, a bunch of games are on ABC, ESPN. So I assume Game 4 is tonight. It is tonight. Yeah, I did. Hey, I did pick the Aces to win before the NBA Finals began, all because it's about the money. And I heard, did I ever mention this? I must have forgot. Apparently, the players, they hate the commissioner. They hate the commissioner. So, if the Aces win tonight, because normally in a sports league, after the championship, the commissioner would be there presenting the trophy, congratulating the winning team. Will this commissioner be there? If so, are the fans going to boo her out of the arena? I don't know. They would usually boo Roger Goodell. I mean, that's kind of his thing now. He's used to getting the boos, like in the NFL draft, But, oh my gosh. I don't know what to think. Guess we'll find out tonight. Last thing I want to show you something physically. So if you're watching the video, I decided to show you this for last. I decided to save this for last year. And that is this. Look what I got. That's right. I have a Los Angeles Dodgers baseball cap. It's got the logo on the back, the Dodgers logo, and the LA logo up front. And look, it still has the sticker. It still has the sticker, as well as the prize sticker. So you're thinking, what the heck? Why do you have that? Why do you have this Dodger cap? Here's the story. I feel like I told you guys this story before, but if I did, it was a while back. But I'll tell you once and for all. So I got this cap. You think I just got it because the sticker's still on there. No, I actually got this cap back in 2018. 7 years ago. And if you're wondering why I got this cap, was because they were in the World Series in 2018. They were facing the Boston Red Sox, which they were clearly the best team that year. And the Red Sox, you guys know, they are one of my least favorite teams. So the World Series is always around Halloween, right? I didn't know what to wear. Every year, my parents and I, we have this big Halloween party. I didn't know what to dress up as. So I dressed up as a LA Dodger fan, wanting them to win the World Series, mainly because I didn't want the Boston Red Sox to win that World Series. Plus, I liked that Dodger roster. I enjoyed that roster more than today's Dodger roster. That's just me. Y'all remember? Do any of y'all remember Yasiel Puig? Remember that guy? Remember that Cuban player? He's a beast. I miss that player. He was fun to watch. I was really hoping they would win a World Series title for him, And, Vin Scully, longtime Dodger TV announcer, the best baseball announcer of all time. Yeah, I was hoping they can do it for him. And, they lost the 2017 World Series against my favorite team, the Houston Astros. So that's why I decided to get this cap. Not only that, look what else I got. Yeah, LA Dodgers shirt. And look, Majestic. Do y'all remember Majestic? I miss Majestic. Yeah, this used to be on the players' uniforms on the sleeve and the umpire shirts too. I actually have an umpire shirt because one year I dressed up as an umpire because, like I said, the World Series is always around Halloween, and I always look forward to the World Series, so that's why I dressed up as an umpire. I've actually done it a couple of times. Yeah, Majestic was the brand before Nike took over. Now you see the Nike swoosh on the players' uniforms. I mean, that's normal now. Now you see that swoosh logo on a bunch of team uniforms. It's not on NHL uniforms. It's on it's Reebok, I think. No, I think it used to be Reebok. Now it's Adidas, Fanatics, I think. But football, baseball, hockey, you see that swoosh logo a bunch of times. But yeah, this was at the time it was before 2020. 2020 was the first season where they started using the swoosh logo, and I did not like that at the time because it was a change. Sometimes I don't like changes, but now I'm used to it. But I miss Majestic. It was fun for its time. So yeah, I got this shirt. But look at the back. Yep. Number 22. Clayton Kershaw. His final season. Yep. His final season. I don't wear this shirt much because I'm not a Dodgers fan. But I did wear this shirt quite a bit of times when they were in the postseason. This is back when I don't really like the Dodgers now because they have like all this money. They can get like almost any player that they want. It wasn't really like that over 5 years ago. So that's why I like the Dodgers more back then than I do now. And especially when they had Vin Scully, the announcer. His final season was in 2016. Yeah, I enjoyed, my father and I, we would watch Dodgers games late at night. All because we like to listen to the great Vin Scully. A lot of people did. You don't have to be. You didn't have to be a Dodgers fan to listen to Vin Scully. Their rival is the San Francisco Giants. Giants fans, they like listening to Vin Scully. He's that good. He's the best ever. So yeah, like I said, I got these back in 2018 because they were in the World Series. That was my costume. So I still have it. I just don't wear it much anymore. But yeah, Clayton Kershaw, he's really retiring. So I don't know if the other night was his last night playing. But if it was, thank you, Mr. Kershaw. You are one of the best to ever do it. Yeah, he grew up with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford was at Clayton's final Dodger home game regular season. Yeah, he was there. So that's awesome. Yeah, I'm happy that Clayton won the World Series. He did, yeah, he won. He technically won too. The COVID year, 2020, even though I don't really count that because the season was so short. But last year, they were clearly the better team. Who knows? Maybe Clayton will win one more World Series title. He'll retire as a World Series champion. So, I don't know. Maybe I should wear this at the World Series for the World Series. I don't know. I'll think about it. Depends on which team they're playing against. But, yeah. I always look forward to the World Series. So, I'll be back to talk about the beginning of the American League Championship Series. And yeah, guys, that is it. Thankfully, I survived because I did not get much sleep all week. I'm hoping to get more sleep this weekend, even if I do. Sometimes I stay up late and I sleep in, so I might miss some sporting events, the early games, but oh well. Sleep is important, all right? Good night. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Thank you for listening to Keith Sports News.